Hello there. Welcome again to another episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the power of faith. And this concerns trading, but also can really help you in your daily life or your personal life. That being said, my name is Rocky Calvin, and welcome to Cash Trading. So, on this channel, we talk about analysis, market analysis, strategies, risk management, all about trading, and apart from that, also spiritual growth and things that help us become better people. So the power of faith. Okay, now faith, faith is usually defined as that strong belief of something that is yet unseen. You have not seen it yet, but you strongly believe that it exists and it's going to happen. Now faith has a very, very important factor in trading. I can't tell you guys how many accounts are blown or how many losses I've made because of fear. Fear is the opposite of faith. And after this, I'm going to be talking. I'll make another video about the three kingdoms. We're going to talk about the kingdom of the heaven, the kingdom of darkness, and the kingdom of flesh, and how they affect trading. Very powerful concept. Make sure you take a look at that. I'm going to do that next. So be just because of fear, and I believe a lot of traders have lost money because of fear, because now you just feel like this trade, because maybe you lost previous trade and you're just afraid, like maybe I'm gonna lose this one. So because of fear, you end up not taking the trade. Let me give you guys a very good example here. Last week I wanted price to push during the CPI. I wanted price to push all the way up here so that I can be able to sell. But you see what it did? It only took out this. Yes, this was my drawn liquidity. This is what I wanted to tap. But now I wanted to push a little bit early up. I do trade precision, and the price never did that. The next day, what did it do? It came up very close to it, but just ended up dropping. And I was targeting to take profit from somewhere down here on this low here. So that really did not really happen. And if I was just trading, like, I don't really care. Once price is just around where I want to enter it, for example, if I was looking for shorts for that period rate, and maybe my stop loss is pretty much around there, right? I'd say, you know what? It doesn't have to be precise. I don't have to try to be perfect. Just sell it up there, exit where I wanted it to exit. So far it has not yet delivered, but you see that drop happened. So I'm expecting, actually, when we open next week, we are likely to drop down. Uh, yeah, we are likely, yeah, that's likely to happen. We're likely to drop when on the opening. So faith is a situation whereby you just know that it's gonna work out for you, especially in trading. In trading, when you're constantly overwhelmed with fear, and not only in trading, in life, that's when you lose, because fear is a tool that the enemy uses to keep people captive. And you see, even in the scriptures, God keep telling us so many times, Christ keeps saying, do not fear, just believe, do not be afraid, have no fear. He talks about have faith. He talks about even a little faith, like a mustard seed, can be able to make mountains move. A faith like a mustard seed doesn't really mean that when you have faith, because a mustard seed, it is the seed of the smallest, of this, it is the smallest seed in the entire universe. But when it grows, and even provides shades for even little birds, to perch on. And if you take a look at the nature of that, what was trying to say is that you have to build your faith. Faith like a mustard seed. Mustard seed is the smallest seed of all, but it grows, becoming the biggest plant in the garden. That is how you grow it. No matter what happens, you have to keep going. You have to have faith that it's gonna work out, no problem. The mustard seed always also go through situations. During germination, there are sometimes there's insufficient, let's say insufficient water that is needed for germination, but it keeps on going. During after it has now sprouted roots, and now it is now growing, there are weeds which are gonna be fighting, and trying to take away the fertilizer from it, and the food, but it keeps on going until it becomes a bigger seed, a bigger plant that even the birds now enjoy you know pitching under it. That is what we mean by faith. That's the type of faith. The faith that no matter how many times you lose accounts, no matter how many times you lose, you still have faith that I'm gonna make it. Trust me, guys, there's nothing dangerous as a person who has faith that nothing can stop them from achieving whatever they want to achieve. Nothing can stop that type of person. And with the trading, when you have that type of mentality, and what I'm saying, I'm not saying that now you become just reckless. Now, because you have faith, everything has to be regulated. You have to have self-control. Yes, you have faith, yes, but you have a work to do. When you take losses, you have to go back and ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What could have possibly uh, needed to be done right here? Did I really follow the plan? No. If it is no, then you have to work on doing better next time, and have that faith that next time, if you follow the plan, it's going to work out. If it was just a loss just because the markets were just crazy, there was just maybe manipulation and things, maybe there's some things you don't understand in trading and so on, then just accept it. If As long as you have a strategy that you backtest that it works, then trust it. Have no fear. Like, once you trust it, stay with it. Okay. So, faith over fear, very important in trading. And it is also the same thing in life. When you start, the enemy, what the enemy does is that it usually puts you in a scenario whereby you're constantly afraid of, what am I going to wear tomorrow? How am I going to pay bills tomorrow? How am I going to support my family? How am I going to do this? And those fears, because the matrix or the system uses fear as a tool to make people slaves. Okay. So, always having this constant thoughts. And you see, the devil uses three things. He uses thoughts, people, and things. So, in terms of thoughts, he will use fear. And that fear is the opposite of faith. God don't work where there's fear. That is the opposite of fear. It is actually, that's not God. God is never afraid. God doesn't dwell in fear, because fear is weakness, guys. So you have to be very, 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 obsessed with, having faith, and rewiring your brain, your subconscious mind to always have faith in everything. Whenever you come into trade, just know that this week you're going to be profitable. Just have that faith, you're going to be profitable. And it's not only about faith. Make sure you follow plan. Make sure you do what is supposed to be done. Okay. Now, a little bit of how I would have also entered this trade last week. Let me give you guys a little bit of technical side of things here. So, once price had already taken out that swing high, you see it, and we ended up closing back in. I was supposed to be looking for break of structure, market structure shift, or whatsoever. In other terms, we would have traders who trade support and resistance. I say all these things do work. So some traders would have seen this as now resistance. You see this level here, they treated it as resistance. You see price came back in there and dropped. So if your target is, they are targeting this low here, or maybe this low, you see, and their stop loss up there, they would have won. There's some traders who trade support and resistance. But now for me, if I wanted to engage this, I would be now going to now maybe 15 minutes time frame, and now looking, for sniper entries down there. So definitely, we started creating the gaps here, but you see, this is not really a breakout. This is not like this crazy price action. Where I find something interesting would be a little bit over here, but this is also not really what I like to see. But yeah, but here we have something. Now you see here we have market structure shift here. Market structure shift is so powerful to me. So you see this one here. This is where I was supposed to be mapping. You see that entry, and I think this was now on Thursday, right? Yeah. This manipulation happened, on Thursday. It went back up there again to go those relative equal highs, then dropped down. So meaning that once price came here, so I would be definitely looking for opportunity to send it or to sell it below. And take a look at how this entry also happened again during news, because we had some news. I think it was PPI news, core PPI, core price index, and so on. And you see, it pushed high right there, almost that entry again, and we dropped onto delivery. You see that? So that's just a little bit on price action, price action. I should like merging my concept of talking about things that help us in life, for example, the power faith, and a little bit of talking a little bit about the charts. So once this is up, because this was the first displacement that I'm seeing that was worth it. So meaning that if you're looking for a short, let's say from that gap right there, that gap, your stop loss definitely above that high right there. That this is an optimized entry level. This is for, you can't do this if you don't have experience. So definitely targeting these lows here as a primary target first, or maybe even something lower down there. That one there, this will as liquidity. That's already 1 to 12 hour. But if you're a beginner, then definitely you'd have entered there with your stop loss all the way up here. That will give you around 1 to 1 to 1 1 to 1.9. Let's say 2 1 to 2. You see that? But now this is for people who don't like, for beginners, okay? But for traders who have been here for long, once you understand what price is up to, because even at some point price might just want, news might just want to push all the way up and then into that gap again, then then do the damage. So bottom line, the point of this video, or the reason for this video, was just to give you guys hope that as long as God keeps waking you up every morning, as long as you are able to learn, as long as you are doing everything correctly, you have back tested and you have a strategy that you know it's working, have faith. Faith over fear. Fear has no power over us. And when you have faith and you also have self-control, you see, discipline is just a result of self-control. If you can control yourself, then automatically discipline is going to be there. Self-control is also a gift of the Holy Spirit. Self-control. Trust me, guys, trading is so spiritual. Most of you, like life, literal life and everything is so spiritual. But most people think that, the Bible is just a book and so on. Guys, how many traders have you seen out there who tells you boldly, like, God made me profitable? God did this to me. Do you think they're kidding? Why are you trying to make these things on your own? Yet there's power. You have the power, yes, but you have to acknowledge who has the power, who has the the authority to give you this power to get to work. You see that? So self-control is very important. Self-control is a gift of the Holy Spirit. Is it a fruit of or a gift? I think it's a fruit of the Holy Spirit. I think so, yeah. So self-control, when you have self-control, definitely, you know that I've already made my TP today, I've made enough, I'm walking away. If you have self-control, you know that, okay, as much as I'd like to add a little bit of position, but because of the fruits of the Holy Spirit, of that self-control, you're not going to add, because trading is probability. Okay, it's not about I'm sure this is going to happen, it's about probability. Okay, so self-control is so powerful, and also faith over fear. So this is it for this episode, guys. Hope to see you in the next one. I'm going to be talking about the three kingdoms and how they affect trading. And apart from that, we also we're gonna doing I'm gonna be doing another review, market review of what to expect on gold, on what really happened in here. I'm gonna read price action for you guys, what to expect next week, and just from the look of things, yeah, I'm seeing retracement somewhere down here, even before I go further, or even down here. Why? Because we just hit a PDOA there. You see that gap? Yeah, we just filled it right there, and you see how this consecutive. These are daily time frame. Remember, you see how this consecutive candles are closing back in. I think I'd marked that gap somewhere. You see it? So yeah, once price is trying respect that PDOA. So yeah, we expect a little bit push to the downside. So if you're pushing down to the downside, what are we targeting? We have another PDOA here. You see this bullish gap? This is the next point of interest. So this is gonna be uh, um, depending on macroeconomics and geopolitical factors. If Iran and Trump, or let's say Iran and the US start some altercation, maybe something in Ukraine and Russia start happening, maybe over this weekend, then you might see a sharp drop. And if it comes down here, then you see like peace is being negotiated, they're agreeing and so on, then you'll see some bullish move up there. So that's it. So when you're pushing higher, then the next question will be, what's the next strong liquidity once you come from this period? It's gonna be this as primary target, but depending on how we close up here, we're gonna be targeting this one. You see this one here. So yeah, so that's it about price action, how to trade it, and so on. And you guys, this channel has a lot of concept and things to make you help you in your trading. Over here, I think these are not about. I was talking about the relationship between the gold, oil, and dollar, and how this leads to how this makes gold drop, especially when oil is pumping. Why is gold dropping? Because I talked about demand of oil. When there is demand of oil, then investors, take all their money and put on oil. Then the gold is left with with a little bit of investment, and that makes it weak, so it drops. And you see that gives also the dollar power, because now US is selling oil, from Venezuela, selling oil from, like, okay, that was on that video, so you guys go check this out. Right, so that being said, make sure to like, subscribe, and share and comment, and My name is Rocky Calvin. In case of mentorship, somebody wants to be mentored privately, we can you can reach out via the email, and I think there's a form I will send to you that you'll have to answer but a few questions, just to know the trade I'm dealing with. If you're a beginner completely or intermediary, and what are your current main challenges in trading, and what you'd like to be helped with mostly. And that's all about that link that that I'll send you once you wanna get into private mentorship and so on. So that's it. See you in the next one.